Hello everyone, it's Sheila back again. Welcome to my channel. I'm doing a little bit of this. This is I think it's called Celtic cable. I think that's what you call this kind of cable with all the crossover things and that. I normally do this in the afternoon, usually from about 12:30 until about 4:30. Because having other things to do as well. I usually do a bit crochet in the morning, early in the morning after my breakfast, and then I usually do a little cardigans that I've been knitting. And then after lunch, this is what I usually do. And if I can manage any after tea, it depends on the light, because this is hard to, being a dark wool, it's hard on my eyes. But I'll do what I can, as much as I can, because this is going to take a bit longer than normal for this kind of thing. So I'm doing a little bit different this morning with my video. Instead of sitting telling you this, that and the other, I'm going to bring my laptop screen down so the webcam is just looking at my knitting and show you how I do these cable stitches. But before I do that, I was at my granddaughter's. I'm going to my granddaughter's this afternoon. That's why I won't be able to do any of this afternoon, because I'm going to my granddaughter's. I usually do it in the afternoon, like I said, but with me going to my granddaughter's, I couldn't possibly do anything like this with the kids around, trying to read a pattern and do this. But when I was there on Sunday, my granddaughter's got one of those little mini knitting machines. It's just a small one. She says it's a toy, really. There's only 20 something stitches thing on it. And I think she bought it, she was doing those the pumpkins. She was going to do some pumpkins, and she thought it would come in handy for doing that. So she was having a little bit practice with it on Sunday when I was there. And she's getting away, getting canny with it. Just learning how to use it properly. But she put a little video up on her channel. Her channel is Shezzy XXX. I'll put a link up to a channel, and then you can have a look at this little video that's just put up. You might be interested, even anybody else that might be interested in buying any of those things. It's interesting to see how they work, and that's what Cheryl did. She put a video up, so I'll put a link to her channel in the description box, and you can have a look at a little toy, as she calls it. It's quite interesting, actually, watching it. I had a knitting machine years ago, and it's very different to that. And I think my knitting machine was easier to work, actually. So I'm going to bring my screen down now, so you can see my knitting, just my knitting. And I'll be talking while I'm knitting, because I do talk a lot when I'm knitting anyway, when I'm reading patterns. And I have done the pattern on this is 48 rows to the actual pattern, so every row is different. And I've done the first 48 rows, and I'm now on to I have my pattern down here, and I have my it's a large nail file thing to keep my place where I'm on to the 15th row. So I'm going to show you how I do these cable. It's not a tutorial for to teach anybody how to do it. It's just to show you what I have to do when I'm doing these cables. So it's the first few stitches across here. These are double moss stitch or iris moss stitch, and then there's a cable panel, and then there's another bit in the middle with some more Irish moss stitch, another cable panel, and more moss stitch. So I have to knit one and purl one across the Irish moss stitch. So that's what I'm going to do first. And I'll probably, like I'm saying, I'll probably be talking to myself while I'm doing this, because I'll be reading the pattern and telling myself what I have to do. And I do talk to myself a lot anyway. Sometimes, you know, being a single person and living by yourself, you do tend to do a lot of talk to yourself. I do anyway. So I'm almost up to the first cable. And there are different kinds of cable in this. Some are ordinary cable where you're just crossing 2 over 2 and they're all knit stitches, and now some cable crossed over which are knit and purl, and the ordinary cable is just cable back or front, but the cable with the knits and purl are called cross cables. So I'm onto the first part of the cable, and I have to purl 2 stitches, and then I'm going to cable 4 back my cable needle. I'm putting the first 2 onto the cable needle and knitting the next 2 stitches, and then I'm going to knit the next 2 stitches off the cable needle. And then I'm going to purl 2. That was just an ordinary cable. The next one is a cross cable. It's a cross 4 front. So I have to take the first 2 stitches onto the cable needle and hold it at the front of the work. Then I'm knitting 2 stitches. Now knitting those 2 off the cable needle. And then it's cross 4 back. So I'm going to put the 2 stitches onto the cable needle, knit 2 stitches and purl those 2 off the cable needle. Then I'm going to purl 4. Cross 4 front, 2 onto the cable needle, purl 2 more stitches off the other needle, then knit the 2 off the cable needle, and then cross 4 at the back, 2 on the cable needle, knitting 2 next 2 stitches, then knitting the 2 off the cable needle, and purl 2, cable 2 front, knitting those 2 stitches and then knitting those 2 stitches off the cable needle. It's awkward to knit them off the cable needle when the cable needle's at the front. I'll put the needle down now for the next few stitches. Let's purl 2. And now I'm going to Irish moss stitch across to the next cable panel. It's quite a long way across the middle moss stitch panel. So I'm onto the cable panel, so I'm purling 2, cable 2 at the back, well it's cable 4, it's 2 on the needle and 2 on the cable needle, and then knitting the 2 off the stitches off the cable needle, and purl 2, cable 4 at the front now, 2 off the needle, hold at the front, knit the next 2, knit those 2 off the cable needle. It's rather awkward when the cable needle's at the front. That's it. And I'm crossing 4 at the back. And those crossing 4 are knit 2 and purl 2. And the different kind of cables where it tells me to cable 4 back or front, they are just ordinary cables where you're knitting all the stitches, and then there are cross cable 4 where they are, you have 2 knit stitches and 2 purl stitches, or 2 purl stitches and 2 knit stitches. That's the way those 2 are, so it gets a little bit complicated at times, so I have to be careful. And I'm going to purl 4 stitches now. And then I'm going to cross 4 at the front. It's 2 knit stitches, purl the next 2 stitches, and cross over the 2 off the cable, knit stitches, and then it's cross 4 at the back. That's 2 under the cable needle, knit stitches, and knit the next 2 stitches, and then knit the stitches off the cable needle. And it's purl 2. If my voice sounds funny, it's because I've got the cable needle in my mouth. I used to get wrong off my mother for doing that. So you'll stick it inside your mouth one day. And I did once. And now it's cable 2 front, cable 4 front. That's 2 onto the cable needle in it too. Those stitches off the cable needle. And that's all the crossing over on that row. We're back onto the 2 purl. That's the end of the cable panel. And then I'm onto the moss stitch again. And that is 1 row of Celtic cable. And now I'm going to do the row on the wrong side. This is the row I like the best. It's just knitting what you see. There's no cable crossovers. It's just knitting, knit and purl. If it's a knit stitch, you knit it. If it's a purl stitch, you purl stitch it. And that's the way that row goes. And it's the easiest and the quickest. The row I like the best. I don't have to think about this row. That's the stitches that you see is what you do. So that is just a little bit of what I have to do doing cable stitches. And I'm getting there. But I will be going down my granddaughter's after lunch, so I'm doing as much as I can of this before I go down, because I won't be able to do any this afternoon. So if you like my video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll let you see how I come on with this cardigan. Well, it's a jacket actually, it's an edge to edge jacket. So bye for now.